Hi, welcome to my new channel about me fixing up cars and giving a bit of TLC and getting them back working on the road. But before I tell you what's up with this one, let's have a little walk around it. Now looking at the car, it doesn't look too bad at all really. There's a bit of rust on the front where the spotlights are. That's an easy fix, just take the brackets off, repaint them, put them back. Bit of marking also on the bumper. I think that'll cut out. The alloys look pretty good as well, a few marks on them. Disc brakes, well, they haven't been used for a while, but they don't look too bad. I think they'll come up and I think they'll clean up all right. The hood's got a bit tatty at places, little marks there. I've seen it on little YouTube videos where you can get a strip and you can replace them. But all the alloys look pretty good actually. Again, the wheel discs, well, not cleaning up, but it's not a big job to change them if we have to change them, not expensive. There's a few marks as well, but again, I think these will cut out, you know. Coming around this side, again, good alloys, no dents in the car, that's what I like about it. You normally get a car this age, which is 2006, you normally get a few dents, but it's pretty good all round, is this one. I have noticed actually that the two front tyres bald on the edge. Look inside the car, again it wants a bit of a valet, but it's quite tidy actually. So the car itself, let's have a look at. There you go, 124,000 miles on. Now the reason that's bleeping like that is because the main problem with this car, which I knew about, is it's actually jammed in gear. Now, with any luck it's just a linkage problem, but I don't think so, because you'd be able to force it even if they were rusty. So I think it's seized up in the gearbox somewhere, so it looks like it's a gearbox out problem. Car itself starts up. A couple of lights on, but they're nothing. Just one for the bonnet's open. Again, that bleeping's really noisy, but it's stuck in gear. The car actually does. Yeah, it does move, and it feels alright on the clutch. A bit noisy on the clutch though, so it might be the release bearing that's gone on that as well. So it is looking like a gearbox out problem, but we'll have a look at that. But first thing to do is check that linkage first, so we'll have a look at that. Right, so first thing we need to do is open the bonnet and disconnect the battery, which is under the casing, which you can see on the right hand side here. So lift the casing up, then you'll see the battery. Disconnect the terminal. And then you move on to the airbox, removing the airbox, which is held in by 3 bolts. Once you get the bolts out, then you can disconnect the arrows off it. There's an electrical connector as well, which you're going to just pull off out of the way. See that in a minute. That's the arrows off. Just move the little electrical connector, and with it a bit of to and fro, just give it a tug and it should come out. Bit awkward this bit, but once you get it in position it'll just pull out. Nearly out. Just gets caught on the electrical connector. Once you get that out of the way it should pull. And there you go. So now you can see, looking down at the selectors, got one on the left hand side and one on the right, and the cables going back into the car to the gear lever. What we're going to do here first is just pop these little ball joints off that hold it on, so we can see whether it looks even free there, to be fair, the cables. But as soon as you pull the ball joints off, you'll see whether the cables are free or not, which I suspect that they are, and I suspect that the problem is actually in the gearbox. So you can see now, I'm just getting a little tool, just pop off those little ball joints on the end of the cable. Then once they're free, you'll be able to move the cables backwards and forwards, I hope, and then you can have a look at the linkage. So now, once you get the cables disconnected on the ball joints, you can actually have a look and see the linkage. Now you can see the cables moving freely in through to this gear seat, but the linkage into the gearbox is absolutely solid. That part should lift up there. When I move the lever on the left, it should lift up. You can see me actually trying to lift it here with the screwdriver. It's worth noting at this point as well, I have put a block of wood down to the clutch to hold the clutch pedal down to try and make it a bit easier, but it's still not moving. Yeah, you can actually see now here, see if I'm focusing a bit, where that's risen up now. It's actually selecting gear. It's really tight. But again, there's also the problem of the release bearing being noisy, so. But I think we'll just give it a little run, see how we go with it. It's only a little private road down here, so I can run it down there, see how we go with it. So I'll put all this back on. Now let's try this in first gear. Yeah, moving. Back in reverse, which is where it was stuck in. Yeah, clutch don't feel brilliant, to be honest. A lot of judder on it. Oof. Yeah, sticking in again. Doesn't like that reverse gear. Yep, she's stuck in reverse again. Oh, just out. Bit of grating from the brakes, but that's no problem. To be expected. We are actually moving. Yeah, that gearbox sounds awful. So, yeah, she's stuck in reverse again. Yeah. Right. So you can see she's running now. Selecting the gears. It's really stiff though. Try moving it forward. Yep. Into reverse. Yeah. That release bearing's noisy though, I can hear it. Don't know whether you can hear it over the camera. Something not right with the gearbox though. Oh, yeah, just jumped out of reverse there. It's really stiff. Let's check this roof, make sure she works alright. She did earlier anyway, there you go. Windows down. Coming back up. I do like that option of the sliding bit at the front though, it's a really good option that. That's it, that's brilliant. Oh, she's stuck in reverse again. Yeah, I think we'll get her up on axle stands and have a look underneath while we're at it, with a view to taking this this gearbox out. Right, so now we've got the little Mini in the garage. We're going to start by jacking it up, have a look underneath. It's also developed an oil leak since I drove it down the road, so I don't know what's going off there. So I'll have a look. You might have even punched a hole in the gearbox, I don't know yet. I was going to take the selector off the top of the gearbox, which you can do with leaving the gearbox in, but it's pointless really because the release bearing's noisy on the clutch, so the gearbox has got to come out anyway. Plus on the MOTs as well, it said that there's a lot of rust on the subframe. It's not structural, but it could do with tidying up. And you'll normally find with these that the control arm bushes are all goosed as well, so I'll have a look at them while I'm underneath. Right, so you can see first job that we've got to do is jack up the car from the side and get some axle stands under it. But what we need to do is put it high enough so with a view to taking the gearbox out, so you need enough room so you can drop the gearbox out from underneath. So you can see here just sticking the axle stand under one side and go around the other side to do the other one. But you can see actually the oil leak on the floor as well from the gearbox, which is just suddenly started since we drove the car. So like we said before, it might have even punched an hole in that gearbox. Where there's no visible signs from the outside, but we'll have a look at that when we get there. Right, so now we're under the car. You can actually see now the state of the subframe. It's a lot of surface rust. I don't think it's structural. It's just sort of flaking off. Wants to come off. Cleaning up. I have noticed as well, drive shafts are worn as well. Well, this one especially. You can feel it knocking. I don't know if you can hear that. And it's moving as well. So it needs at least one drive shaft. Just looking, oh, there's this oil leak as well that it's developed. A bit from the engine. Looks like there's some plug on that one. There's quite a bit on the gearbox. Like I said, the gearbox has got to come out anyway. The leak from the gearbox is probably coming from the main shaft, running inside the bell housing, coming out of here. It's first actually time I've seen a power steer pump that's dry. They're normally wet through as well. Going to the lower arm bushes, you can see them there, one there, and one that side over there. But again, they've perished, so they'll need redoing. You can actually see them. You can see it here. But they're only £18 a piece, them, so they're not bad. So yeah, definitely going to take this subframe out. Makes it easy for the gearbox as well. I'm going to take all this front end off as well, which puts it in service mode. So we'll start with taking the wheels off, not forgetting to crack that centre nut for the drive shaft, because it's really hard to get off once the wheels have been taken off. So if you crack the nut beforehand, then you can take that off later on. And then it's round the other side to do exactly the same job. Again, not forgetting to crack that centre nut off for the drive shaft. So you can see now I've got the wheels off. The parts I'm going to need to look at, one is these tie rod ends. They actually seize up to these. You can't adjust the tracking on the car. In my opinion, it's a really bad design by BMW or Mini, whatever. And sometimes when you even try and undo them, they'll shear off. But put a bit of heat on them, might be able to get away with it. But I've noticed at the other end, the track rod, which is, I don't know if you can see that. That track rod there, which is on the end of it, at the other side is worn, it's moving. So that'll need replacing. Is that bottom ball joint? That is an absolute nightmare to get off sometimes. Gotta put some heat on it normally. Can take the 230mm bolts out. There, as you can see them. One there, one at the other side. But they are an absolute nightmare to get off. You've got to drop that arm down, then get the drive shafts out. So if we go around the other side, see that? So the struts seem alright, the springs are alright. Like I said, the discs need a bit of a clean up. Might even change those yet, I don't know, see what the clean look like. But the CV boot has definitely gone there. That's throwing all grease out, which is, well, it's turned into like oil now, so it might be a lot of that what's dripping down. You can see those on the ball joints and the tie rod again. It'll look totally seized. Anyway, we'll get this subframe off and get this front end off as well. I'll drop all this front end off. Drop this fascia off at the front, which leaves a crash bar behind. You can see the two radiators there. The condensing radiator and the main radiator. The aircon's actually not working in this, so it'll need recharge anyway, so I can take that off, that's not a problem. We can take all that front end off. It takes about an hour to get it off, and you get access all to the front of the engine. So let's crack on with that. So now just getting underneath, just to drain this oil out of the gearbox. And I want to see if any bits of metal come out of it, so I'm actually going to use this gauze pad just put over it so it will drop onto that before the oil comes out. Just hope it doesn't go all over. If there's any in at all. There you go. So you see the pad now. There's no bits of metal on it, which is good. You'll see even better when I get the big gearbox apart. I can't feel any bits neither. So that's good. So hopefully there isn't any, but the magnet might have picked them up inside the gearbox. So the next job we've got to do is take the wheel arch linings out. To do this, you've probably got about, I think it's about 8 these plastic grommets you've got to take out. Easiest way to do it is, because they just spin if you just try and get them out with a screwdriver, so just hold the trimming tool against it, unscrew them out, keeping the weight against it. Normally they come out, they'll just pop out. You've also got a couple of Phillips screws in there as well. Sometimes the heads round off on them and you have to grind them off, but I was quite lucky on this one. So once you get this arch lining out, gives you a lot more access to the engine bay and what have you. So then straight round to the other side, do exactly the same at the other side. Take the clips out, take the screws off, and just pop that other lining out. So on with the next job, which is removing this front fascia. To do this, you've got two little U-clips with little bolts through on each end. Now these rust up and normally just shear off or just spin when you try and get them off, which is exactly what happened here on both sides. So you'll see in a second I get the little Dremel, cut away, just cut the head off, just knock it out, and then you can knock the bolt through. So I had to do this on both sides because they were both rusted up. You've also got a few clips down the centre which you just push them up through, and then underneath where the belly trays hang on, well, this car didn't actually have belly trays on, so that was quite easy. There was just a couple that I had to grind off underneath as well, just to get it off. So once that comes off, then it reveals the crash bar, and that's to the next stage. As you can see, the whole front fascia is off now, and now got to get this crash bar off. Bit difficult getting that fascia off because all the bolts were rusty. I had to cut some of them off. I've got them out now. So we'll get this crash bar off, and we'll take this other part of the fascia. Well, it all comes off together actually with the radiators and all that front end will come off, and it's easier to get to the gearbox. We also need to get to the crash tubes as well, which is at the back of these, which is part of the subframe. So we'll do that next. Take all that front off. So as you can see now, we're taking the crash bar off of the front. We've got 5 bolts either side. Most of them are 13mm, a couple of 10mm I think to get off. And that crash bar will just pop off, revealing the radiators. So the next job is to remove the 2 crash tubes, one either side of the radiator, held in by 2 bolts from underneath, and then a 10mm bolt from the front. But what happens is the 10mm ones normally either seize up and shear off, or round off where you can't get them off, which is what happened here on both sides as well. So again, it was out with the little Dremel tool and grind those off, so then we can just knock the tubes out. All they do is just pop out from the front. So as you can see now, using the little Dremel tool just to cut the 10mm bolt off, and then tap that out of the way, and then the tube will just tap forward and it'll just come out. There you go, that's the tube out, and then you do the same at the other side. So the next job is to remove the aircon pipes. Once you've got those off, then drain the water down into a container, and then pass all the wiring through the panel for the lights, and then the whole front end will just lift off. Right, so now you can see it with the front end totally taken off. The next job is to get the subframe off, because you can take the gearbox out without taking the subframe off. You just drop it down a couple of inches at that right hand side, but I've got to take the subframe off anyway because it's in a bit of a state. It needs all refurbing, to be fair, and it'll make it easier for the gearbox. So I think we'll do that next. So the next job was the 2 bottom ball joints. The one on the right side really tight. Tried hammering it off at first, but no luck with that, so I had to get the ball joint splitter in, which was still tight, but it eventually went. And then obviously we switched to the other side. That come off a bit easier. One job I had actually forgotten to do was disconnect the drop links, because they need to come off for the subframe to drop down. So disconnect those one either side, and then move to the top and disconnect the bracket for the reservoir for the power steering, because that has to drop through when it comes out with the subframe. Right, so that's the bottom ball joints done. This right hand side was absolute nightmare. I didn't have to put any heat on it. I had to use the ball joint splitter. The left hand side one came off quite easy. So I think that's been done recently, to be fair. The next job is to take the bracket off the power steer reservoir bottle and undo the bolt for the power steering ram. It's a little 30mm bolt. Then just the mounting bolts on the subframe, and it should drop down. What I might do though is lift it up a bit higher so it gives me more clearance with the trolley jack. So we'll do that now. So it's now onto the top. Disconnect the bracket for the power steer reservoir, and then on the steering column disconnect that 30mm bolt that just releases the steering column from the steering ram, and then it's underneath to do your 12 bolts for the subframe. Now there's a little hole in the subframe which just fits nicely for a jack, so you can put the jack in that hole and lower it down slowly, making sure that the power steer reservoir is clear. Just keep checking it as you're lowering it down. Right, so now we've got the subframe out, we can see what state it's in. To be fair, I mean, it's a lot of it's a solid, it's just a lot of surface rust that wants to come off. But they keep pulling it up on MOTs for a rusty subframe, so I'll strip it all down and make sure there's no rotting on it. But I think it's just surface rust. So I'll get it rubbed down, and it's just flaking off. I'll get it rubbed down, paint it, put some new ball joints on, some low suspension arm bushers. I'll put those on as well. Change the anti-roll bar ones as well. That's the ones I was on about. The links, it seizes up there. They will, well, you won't be able to get them off. I'll try warming them, but you probably have to replace the arm from there. But we'll see how we go with it.